If you do not want to change, if you do not want to better yourself, if you do not want to break outside of this matrix, if you want to live in your comfortable delusion that they have built for you, do not watch these videos. Leave this channel.
Because when I step to the game, I rip that shit apart.
Do
My
not
evolution with
want
the
truth.
gyarados from Magic Carpet. I
Don't
ain't
want to
finished shopping
understand.
till the
If you
whole
are
world
not
is
here
in my cart. You
to
fucking with me, you choose a role and play your part.
something
Beneficial
that's outside of your own mind
smart.
and accept others' minds and opinions and the way they think for themselves, you do not belong.
Shitty cards. I'm trying as hard as I can against all of the odds.
If you are not trying to be positive, if you are not trying to help create solutions while we discuss the problems and how they got here, you do not belong here. Negativity, hate, disrespect, name calling, those things will not be allowed here on this platform and not in this empire. We are the ones, the true Americans, that want to be free and stand as we have always stood.
My lines burn like blunts getting smoked in the dark. Hella cooking shit up if your ass wanna spar. Barbecue your beef up like the seats in my car. Cool yourself off refrigerator and jar. Baby rappers but not like this is not an art. It's not an art.
That's cool.
Forgot about that part.
He was over there dealing with other
like
people.
this is not an art.
You know what I'm saying? We was over chopping it up on some other streams, you know what I'm saying? So we had to give a few moments for the reset. Okay. Thank you for coming through. We appreciate you. All right. Love it. Love it. Share it. Like it if you want to. Subscribe it. Good stuff. You know, that kind of thing. And then you have these. And then you have these. Shout out to everybody that did overtime today. Everybody that went to work. You guys make the world go round. It does not go round without you. All right. Beautiful things coming your way. Beautiful things today. So we have a lot of haters. It's one of those things. I don't know what it is. I guess they want us to answer questions a certain way. It bothers them when they don't get the answers they want the way they want it. I get it. You know, it's cool. I just would prefer clarity, you know, and you could just tell me what it is that you want me to say. And then I'll decide if that's worth saying. That's cool. Because it's okay to give me your prerogative and tell me, hey, oh yeah, this is how we want you to answer the question, and we need you to say it this way specifically because we're trying to point something out here. Oh, okay. So it's not like you're trying to get me in a gotcha moment. It's that this question is a gotcha moment, but we just need you to go along with it so we can gotcha. And it was just no, sorry, we're not going to be doing that today. Why is it so important to try to get people in this weird little okie doke moment? Is there something to that? And then I mentioned that, Andrew Wilson was trying to do the same thing to Candace, and it was oh, okay, so they tried to use that moment to try to attack again. It's a beautiful thing. Why? Why is it that it's more fun to try to belittle somebody than, trying to I don't know, build something that works? I don't know, whatever. A lot of people are twisted, man. Just twisted little souls. So, I mean, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming sometimes. It's like a drain. you know? And then it's like the stress can build up over time. So, you know, I just got to protect my energy. And I'm starting to realize that certain people, they invite certain types of energy and certain types of frequencies that I'm not frequent with. And I don't want that on me. I'm like over it. And then, you know, I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little disappointed, but we're gonna see if we can all right, here we go. Here we go. So I have the thing. I have it pulled up. Hold on. Ah, damn it. Damn it. I didn't have it pulled up. All right, I'm about to pull it up right now. This is one of the ones I wanted to watch right here. All right, this is one of the ones I wanted to watch right here. My bad, I had to pull this shit up. My bad, my bad. Shit up.
Ghosts and specters, do they actually exist?
And that was really like a flash from another world.
People are terrified of these spirits from the afterlife. Every sixth person believes they are real.
Death happens so quickly that their spirit lingers behind.
Ghostbusters and scientists alike are on the hunt for evidence.
I've been to apartments that looked like they'd been hit by a bomb.
Do things really exist beyond reason?
Look, lights.
Where does reality end and where does the inexplicable start? Is it fantasy or reality? The great myths of mankind. Mysteries passed on over thousands of years. Inexplicable events, places shrouded in legend, and superhuman heroes. Even scientists are fascinated. Is there any truth to these ancient legends? Researchers across the globe are working hard to solve the greatest mysteries of our time. Schallenberg Castle in Lower Austria dates back to the medieval times and has a dark past. Some visitors are said to have fled the castle in haste. Legend has it that the ghost of a young girl haunts the catacombs, her face covered with hair. The villagers call her the Dog Maiden. For 28 years, Johannes Erdl has been the custodian of Schallenberg Castle. He claims to have seen the Dog Maiden many times. It all started one night when Erdl was checking the castle cellar. He says this was his first encounter with the ghost.
It was late when the event had taken place that night. Everyone had gone home. I was patrolling the place to make sure everything was locked. Then I entered the crypt, where I was hit with a wall of fog.
All right, here we go.
As the fog began to clear, the custodian was able to make out a shape. In his eyes, it looked just like the ghost of the dog maiden.
There stood the dog maiden, around 5 feet 5 inches tall. Beautiful dark black hair.
Oh, are we
She
sure?
had what resembled a dog's snout, but there was nothing mean about her.
It was the first time Johannes Ertel ever saw a ghost.
I was panicking. All of a sudden, the fog closed in on me, and the dog maiden passed through me, filling me with a powerful positive energy. That lasted maybe 3 seconds, and then she was gone.
He's not the only one who believes in ghosts.
This is the most
So, this is one of the things we have to really think about it. When it comes to ghosts, are we accepting what we believe ghosts are? What we've been programmed to believe ghosts are? Are we taking that frame? Or is it the new frame where we are trying to figure out how that goes? What does that look like? Is it something that's relevant to our makeup? Having some technical difficulties over here. My bad. All right, there we go. This isn't the one I wanted. That was the first one I was watching. Hold on. I gotta hold on. I'm looking for it. Let me see. No way. I don't know, man. This sounds pretty crazy. This one looks pretty crazy right here.
Protect the health and lives of people. However, for some, hospitals only represent the previous step before death. In stories, it is said that feelings and emotions of the ones dying are compressed in these places, charging their walls with negative energies that generate all kinds of disturbing phenomena that have managed to be captured on camera, and of which in this video, you will be a privileged witness. My name is Leonore Clay, and this is The Darkest Secret. Today we present the most terrifying things captured in morgues and hospitals. Much of the videos that you're about to
morgues and hospital camera footage. We're gonna see what they got.
see were sent by my audience. If you know or have videos of this style that you would like for me to see, do not hesitate to send it as a direct message to my official Facebook. And if you like my content, help me by sharing these videos with your friends. Let's not allow these recordings to be forgotten. Without further ado, let's get started. Number 5. The recording that welcomes us to this video was sent by Kevia Rodriguez, an attentive subscriber from Peru, commenting that she had exclusive access to the security cameras of a healthcare facility located in the city of Pacasmayo. This video was sent to me because there was no one inside this ambulance.
You guys ready for this?
However, a movement inside made the employees think the opposite. It is assumed that there was no one inside. In fact, at first, you don't see anyone inside. Please note the abrupt closing of the door. That, my friends, is not due to pressure changes in the wind. The most disturbing thing is that if you look closely, you can see movement inside of the vehicle. Can you see it? Could this be the evidence that these places really do get filled with the spirits of the deceased? At least for me, this video has no logical explanation. Tell me what you think. Number 4.
That's how they get you. Damn commercials, man. My bad, guys. I was doing my best to try to get that together. Right,
this video consists of 2 clips recorded at dawn in different hospitals. The first of them came to my email thanks to a subscriber who, for personal reasons, refused to.
Alright, so did you guys see the ambulance? Did you guys see it?
It is assumed that there was no one inside. In fact, at first, you don't see anyone inside. Please note the abrupt closing of the door. That, my friends, is not due to pressure changes in the wind. The most disturbing thing is that if you look closely, you can see movement inside of the vehicle. Can you see it? Could this be the evidence that these places really do get filled with the spirits of the deceased?
Alright, so look. We'll go to the beginning of it again.
Located in the city of Pacasmayo. This video was sent to me because there was no one inside this ambulance. However, a movement inside made the employees think the opposite.
Alright. You left. Clearly.
It is assumed that there was no one inside.
Cool.
In fact,
That's pretty cool.
At first, you don't see anyone inside.
I like that
Please
one.
note the abrupt closing of the door. That, my friends, is not due to pressure changes in the wind. The most disturbing thing is that if you look closely, you can see movement inside of the vehicle.
Yeah, that looks legit.
Can you see
though.
it? Could this be the evidence that these places really do get filled with the spirits of the deceased? At least for me, this video has no logical explanation.
Yeah, that looks legit.
Tell me what you think.
That's pretty crazy.
Number
right
4.
there. That's a good one. All right, so I mean, what do you guys think? You think that one is cooking? I think that one's cooking. That's a good one. That's a really good one. I was convinced. Let's see what this next one says.
This video consists of 2 clips recorded at dawn in different hospitals. The first of them came to my email thanks to a subscriber who, for personal reasons, refused to reveal his identity. I can only affirm that he works in a hospital where he assures strange things usually happen. He continues on to say that what you're about to see was recorded by a security camera after 3 in the morning, at a time when, in the midst of a prevailing silence, an inexplicable phenomena suddenly broke the hospital's peace. Pay attention. Despite the impression of this clip, the truth is that I do not have enough background to verify its veracity. Our subscriber affirms that phenomena like this have been seen by him repeatedly. However, this video seems too good to be true. Although it is the movement of the chair that leaves me the most shocked, since how could you stage something like that? Can it be done with strings? A fairly similar footage is one that was recorded overnight in a hospital in Chile. The nurses heard noises coming from an adjoining room, which alerted them, since they were already aware that no one was in that room. They saw when reviewing the images from the security cameras. As they confess, it has been the most shocking thing they have seen in their lives.
Se movió la cita. Pero cómo. Oye, qué terrible, pero ¿cómo? Se volvió así ya.
I don't know.
If you are a follower of my channel, surely you remember this recording. Because a while ago, it was part of one of our videos. A footage that, as I mentioned, is quite similar to the previous one. However, on that occasion, several of you saw something that at that moment I didn't notice. A subtle but at the same time disturbing manifestation that occurs in the window. Can you see it? Do you think it's a spirit? Leave it in the comments. Number 3.
Okay. Sounds pretty good.
It's so easy to become a podcaster with Riverside. First, go to Riverside and open an account. When you're...
Let me start with the next question. Have you ever been in an unfamiliar place in the dark, and a cold chill runs down your back, alerting you to turn around? But luckily, when you do, for your peace of mind, there is nothing there? That experience is common. It is part of a defense mechanism that was developed thousands of years ago, when we used to be prey of the most terrifying beasts. Well, that's exactly what the person who carried this camera did, who along with a group were exploring an old hospital in ruins, when suddenly he felt that something was behind him, so he turned around, without finding anything around him. At least, that's what he thought.
Okay.
Although this sequence corresponds to an exploration, the man assures that he was always the last of the group. Nobody was ever behind him. So that area should be empty. Even so, a thin-looking person is observed wandering around there.
Yep,
Could it be the spirit of a patient who is trapped here? Let me know what you think. Number 2. As I told you at the beginning, it seems that hospitals are filled with energies of pain, sorrow, and misfortune that sometimes occur within its walls. Energies that, according to many occult books, can invoke the manifestation of inexplicable phenomena when combined with the desire or fear of another person. Allow me to better explain the last mentioned by relating an experience that happened to me. When I was little, I was close friends with my grandmother. We used to play, and she used to accompany me. However, when I turned 12, she passed away. A couple of weeks later, while I was in my room, I felt someone sit at the foot of the bed. I was half asleep, and I knew it was my grandmother. She used to do this. Suddenly, I remembered that she had passed away the week before. And when I opened my eyes and turned toward the edge of the mattress, it had the marks and even the warmth as if someone had sat on it. I called my mother to verify that indeed that side of the bed was warm, and she compared it to the other corner, which was cold. That place was warm, as if someone had been sitting there for hours. In the occult world, it is believed that the burning desire of a heart saddened by the loss of someone can achieve physical manifestations with the aim of claiming that desire. That is to say, they are not spirits, but about manifestations that our own mind can create. According to the story that one of my subscribers tells me, what you're about to see could be exactly this. A man had arrived to leave a delivery, at which point he took out his camera and records to verify that he was in the location, at which point the lens captures an absolutely anomalous situation. Observe.
Hey, Fabiola.
Fabiola.
Later, many said that precisely at that moment, a patient who had arrived urgently at the scene died in the middle of resuscitation protocols by medical personnel. While his family was devastated, their grief could have caused that brief manifestation of a strange black figure.
Dang. Dang. What if that was like death on camera? Like, you know,
Number 1.
Angel. Dun dun dun. The Grim Reaper. Live on camera.
Morgues are
That's
undoubtedly
crazy.
one of the places that generates the most fear inside
That's
hospitals. Well, in its dependencies, corpses arrive daily to be stored in that place. Bodies that lie inert on cold metal cubicles, waiting for autopsies and other procedures that feed our darkest thoughts. The same subscriber who writes us says that the greatest fear in the beginning is the idea that one of the corpses could suddenly sit up. Imagine what it's like to work in that kind of a place. How could you live a normal life after seeing corpses all day? Well, the man you see on the screen has had to deal with that. He works in a morgue, a job that he says he's gotten used to. But lately, he has had to deal with disturbing images of himself where it seems as if his work follows him. Observe.
What? I don't like this, man.
The man claims that selfie was taken while inside of his vehicle, just as he was leaving his job. In the photo, there is the face of a person whose body had arrived at the morgue that week, like the following image taken during a break by one of his co-workers, in which clearly you can see the face and part of the body of a being that, according to them, usually wanders around that area. Impressive photographs that for some would confirm
That's
the type
wild,
of magnet that hospitals represent for
I
all kinds
believe
of
in the
beings
morgue, you
that
gonna
feel
see
attracted by the energies that
Sure.
emerge from these places, making way to the manifestations of all kinds of paranormal phenomena, like the ones you just saw in this video. Videos that undoubtedly give food for thought.
Man, that's
I
scary,
hope you like
bro.
this video, because we have come to an end. My name is Leonora Clay, and this was The Darkest.
That was creepy, bro. That was pretty creepy. I'm not gonna lie. That last one that's wild. Let's see what else they got. Thinking, ooh, wait, ooh, this one looks nice. Hold on. Let's see, what else do we got? All right, let's see. I don't know, man. This is wild, bro. Cause man, I saw some creepy shit. I don't know, man. I might have to end this one early. The last shit was pretty creepy, bro. I don't know how much more digging into ghosts and spirits I want to dig, guys. This shit's getting pretty creepy already. Let me see. I don't really fuck with ghosts, man. Those are the scariest movies to me. Let me see here. Bill Nye, what? Do you believe in ghosts? Okay, all right. Uh-oh. Ghosts, man. Are ghosts, demons, and spirits, are they the same thing? That's something that I'm trying to figure out. So I'm trying to dig into the science of it, but it's pretty creepy so far. Let me see. Oh no, man. I don't know. This one is tough. Okay. All right. We might have to go back to the top. We saw some pretty decent looking ones up there. So we might have to go back. Spirits aren't real. Interesting. We might have to do that one for the kids in the back. Let's see. Is demonic possession possible? Interesting. Let's see what that looks like.
Struggling to pay your energy bill at SRP?
Let's see what that looks like. This should be an interesting look, right? Wow, they hit us with 2 commercials. It's crazy.
In 2005, a very popular Hollywood film was released, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Horror films are made in Hollywood, but there was something very special about this film. Look at what was written on the poster, based on a true story, meaning based on a true incident. It was based on the story of Anneliese Michel, one of the most famous cases of exorcism in world history. Anneliese Michel was born in West Germany in 1952 when she was 16 years old. One day she suddenly fainted at school. Her friends say that when she fainted, she was in a strange trance-like state for a minute or so. That evening, when she returned home and went to sleep, she suddenly woke up and said that she felt a very heavy feeling over her body. When she looked at her bed, she realized that she had urinated the night before. But then nothing happened for the next several weeks or months. A year later, a similar incident occurred again, and this time Anneliese's parents felt she should see a doctor. The Sun newspaper reported that when her parents went to the doctor, neither the doctor nor the neurologist found anything wrong with Anneliese. But then about a year later, in February 1970, Anneliese contracted tuberculosis, leading to her hospitalization. This time, while lying in a hospital bed, Anneliese says she saw strange colors and heard voices. The doctor diagnosed her with temporal lobe epilepsy, which was causing her seizures. While this isn't a rare disease, it affects over 50 million people worldwide. However, Anneliese's case was quite unique. Within a few days, Anneliese began experiencing dangerous hallucinations, seeing things no one else could see. She began hearing voices no one else could hear. Voices in her head repeatedly told her she was cursed. This led to severe depression, but that was just the beginning. Catholic Christians often kneeled down while praying. The Telegraph newspaper reported that Anneliese began doing this around 600 times a day, to the point where her knee ligaments were damaged. Then one day she hid under a table and barked like a dog for 2 days in a row. Once she ate a spider, once a piece of coal, and once even a bird. Her parents couldn't understand what was happening.
Damn.
When they couldn't find any answers from the doctor, they went to a bishop and asked him to perform an exorcism on her. Exorcism involves removing the spirit of an evil spirit from someone's body through religious procedures. In India, this is called exorcism. It was said that 6 demons were hidden in Anneliese's body. The German dictator Adolf Hitler, the Roman Emperor Nero, Judas, a disciple of Jesus who betrayed him, the 4th Cain, the son of Adam, who killed his brother Abel, the 5th Lucifer, the main devil in Christian theology, and the 6th Valentin Fleischmann, a German Catholic priest who lived in the 1500s and was expelled from the church due to his alcoholism and a murder charge. As the exorcism was performed on Anneliese Michel, it is said that the demons within her began to speak. The original audio clip of the exorcism is still available online. The case of Anneliese Michel is one of the most bizarre cases in world history, but it's not the only one. 10 years ago, an American man was found unconscious in his hotel room. When he was taken to the hospital and regained consciousness, he suddenly began speaking Swedish. When his ID card was checked and all his documents were reviewed, it was revealed that the man's name was Michael Boatwright. But when asked what his name was, he replied, "My name was Johan A."
One morning, speaking only Swedish, no memory.
How did an American man suddenly begin speaking Swedish after falling unconscious? How did Anneliese Michel begin making these demonic sounds? Had a demonic spirit truly entered his body? Let's explore these mysteries from a scientific perspective in today's video.
Crazy work, man. This is crazy work right here.
Demonic possession in English is the feeling of a ghost taking over your body. The real reason behind this isn't multiple personality disorder.
So, he just said demonic possession is a ghost taking over your body. So a ghost and a spirit and a demon are the same thing? Or this is what I'm saying. Because if they're made of the same stuff, then if these are human, then there's a limitation. If these are demonic, then there's a special origin to that. So, like, it's only making a lot of things more real. And now we have to take things more serious because the unseen. Now we have to take that into account.
Disorder. You've surely heard of this disorder somewhere. If not, you've probably seen movies in which it's depicted as a pariah, Karthik calling Karthik Fight Club, or Psycho. As the name suggests, multiple personality disorder. It means that a single person has multiple personalities. But how can this be possible? To understand this, we need to stop using this term. Now, this mental condition has a new name, DID, Dissociative Identity Disorder. You probably know the meaning of identity. Identity means your identity, but what can dissociation of identity mean? Famous poet Nida Fazli once wrote, there are 20 people in every man. Whoever wants to see someone, see them many times. This poem actually has a deeper psychological meaning because first, you are the person you really are. But second, you are the person you think you are. Do you understand the difference? Someone here is an idiot, but they may think they are smart and intelligent. In psychology, a term for this is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. This effect is observed when a person overestimates their abilities when they severely lack knowledge and skills. There's even a Hindi saying for this, Tota chana bhaje gyana. But being stupid and intelligent is just one aspect. Identity dissociation can also occur when a person believes they are very good at something but are actually selfish. Or the opposite can happen. Someone is very good at something but believes they aren't. So number one is the person you actually are. Number two is the person you think you are. This is your self-image. Number three is the concept of your ideal self, the person you want to be. This depends on each person, and your social conditioning has a significant impact. For some, their ideal self may be Elvish Yadav. Hey, can anyone speak in front of Elvish Boy? Hey! Elvish Boy! But Dr. Vikas Divyakirti tells his son, the watchman in the apartment is protecting us. He's older than you, so you should greet him with respect. So what would be the ideal self for his son? To be humble and knowledgeable. Now, if there's a huge difference between a person's number 2, number 3 identities, then his self-confidence will be very low. He will have low self-esteem. But if, on the other hand, a person's number 2 and number 3 identities are very similar, then he will have high self-esteem. His self-confidence will be very high. Because it all boils down to one question. How much do you like yourself? How much do you accept yourself? Do you like Geet from Meat when you're in the movie? Do you like yourself a lot?
Very much. I'm my favorite.
Or are you someone who doesn't like himself at all?
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meat-based.
Why do I hate myself so much?
Self-image, ideal self, and self-esteem. Psychologist Carl Rogers says that our self-concept is made up of these 3 components. These components depend on many different factors. What are our habits? What is our surroundings? What are the things we feel proud of? What are the things we feel embarrassed about? What are our regrets? What are our secrets? What are we afraid of? What are our desires? What are our fantasies? It's possible that a person may appear very happy on the outside, but deep inside, they may feel very sad and lonely. As Kefi Azmi wrote, you're smiling so much. What sorrow are you hiding? It's possible that a person may appear very religious on the outside, but deep down, they may not believe in God. A person may appear outwardly respectful and humble, but deep inside, they may harbor intense anger and frustration toward their boss or a family member. Biologically, someone may have the body of a man, but deep inside, they may feel like a woman. Or it could be that someone has the body of a woman, but deep inside, they feel like a man. So the point I'm trying to make here is that our identity and our mind are very complex entities. Sometimes our different identities dissociate into different personalities. These different personalities are called alters. A person can have 2 alters, 4, 5, or even 20 alters. A famous case is that of Kim Noble, who had over 100 different personalities. Each person has a different name, age, gender, identity, temperament, body language, and even different memories within their minds. To some extent, even, normal people exhibit different personalities. For example, When they spend time with their friends, their behavior and body language are quite different compared to when they spend time with their parents. Their way of speaking, their emotional tolerance all change depending on who they're with. But with DID, this goes to an extreme level. Not only your body language and behavior, but your name also changes, your age also changes. In some cases, different memories also begin to form in their minds. It's almost as if they are dividing their minds into different compartments. In these cases, people typically have a primary personality that manifests itself most of the time. This is called a host identity or primary identity. Typically, this is the personality you were born with. However, in some cases, an alter ego can also become your host identity. For example, in Kim Noble's case, one of her alter egos, Patricia, became her primary host identity. Kim Noble has a 14-year-old daughter. When she becomes a mother and cares for her daughter, she no longer sees herself as Kim. She sees herself as Patricia. Besides Kim and Patricia, she also has other identities: Judy, Jolie, Abby, Dawn, Ken, Bonnie, and Haley. In 2017, a Hollywood film called Split depicted this very phenomenon. Kim and her daughter appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show. She was filmed twice. Once when she was at home. Kim's personality was Patricia, and when she appeared on the show, she became a 15-year-old girl, Isla. There's nothing to be afraid of, as personalities don't change suddenly and dramatically like you see in movies.
Can you tell me about yourself? How old are you?
Fact, most of the time, if people aren't aware of this, they don't even notice. One interesting thing that's observed here is that whenever this personality switch happens, the other personality loses all memory of what they did. So often in her life, she forgets her keys, orders a pizza delivery, but she doesn't even realize it was her order. Sometimes her car is mysteriously found parked miles away. One day, a very disturbing personality switch occurred while she was driving. She took on the personality of her 15-year-old daughter, Julie, while driving, causing an accident. A person with dissociative identity disorder, DID, doesn't even realize they're experiencing it. They simply experience sudden memory loss or a loss of time. They can't understand where they were just a few hours ago when they were in another personality. When Kim was told she was experiencing DID, Patricia and several of her other personalities refused to believe it. They thought, what's so strange? This can't be happening. They had to undergo therapy for 6 years. Only then did they accept that something like this was happening. Once she understood this, the pieces of the puzzle slowly began to fall into place, and she began to see why she was repeatedly losing time, why she had occasional gaps in her memory.
Makes me sad I've got memories that she's got, so I'm here, it's like a third person.
With the help of psychotherapy, Patricia gradually began to accept her condition. But what was the solution? The solution was reintegration, the opposite of dissociation. Efforts should be made to establish communication between the different alters so that all identities could be integrated back together, forming one identity. At the time the article was written, her identity had still not fully integrated. She would experience 3 to 4 personality switches every day. But gradually over time, she understood the triggers that were causing her personality to switch. For example, whenever food was served, Judy's personality would emerge. Whenever she bathed, the personality of the spirit of water would take over her body. Understanding this, she gradually began to manage her DID system. On the other hand, Annalise Michel, whose story I told you at the beginning of the video, was not so fortunate. She underwent 67 exorcisms over a 10-month period and subsequently died. What was the reason behind her death? Many people say that demons and evil spirits create negative energy, and positive energy is often talked about as a solution. Methods are often offered on how to harness the positive energy of the universe and fight against negative energy. One such idea is the law of attraction, which is discussed in The Secret, The Alchemist, and even in a dialogue in Om Shanti Om Santi Om.
If you truly desire something, the entire universe conspires to bring it to you.
Is there any truth to this? Many of you have asked me to discuss this topic. That's why I'd like to present to you this ebook, The Power of the Universe, on Truthaki Academy. The researcher of this video, my friend Vijay Daya, has written a book on the law of attraction, aura, and many other such mysteries. I wrote the foreword for this book, and in my opinion, it's a very useful book because you'll learn something that will stay with you for a lifetime. This is when news of her death spread worldwide. It became a national scandal. Law enforcement agencies became involved. They discovered that Annalise had actually been under psychiatric care since the age of 16. The physicians treating her said she was responding positively to medication and therapy. They explained that Annalise actually had 3 mental illnesses. The first was temporal lobe epilepsy, which I already mentioned. The second is anorexia nervosa. This is a mental illness in which people have a distorted perception of their weight. Healthy people believe they are gaining weight, that they are becoming obese, but in reality, their bodies are healthy, and this leads them to reduce their food intake, and this leads them. They continue to reduce it. Case is the person.
Alright, so I'm just gonna assume that that's not about anything, really. That's not it. that was not about anything. Yeah, whatever. So a lot of people don't really have much to say about ghosts. That's kind of lame. So I would go further and say, wow, that was dumb. All right, whatever. I don't know, man. My energy got sucked out. All right. So I'm gonna kick this conversation off. This one is about ghosts, spirits, and demons. Are they the same thing? And are they made of the same stuff? This is the main question today on Brainstorm. Now, you want to pull out some science on this and some ancient whatever information we have to see if any of this is proven already with the science and the tools, including the information we have from prior civilization.
Ooh, fun topic. Honestly, right off the bat, the scientific answer is pretty simple. There's no verified physical evidence any of these exist, so science doesn't have a what they're made of answer. But culturally, they're definitely not the same concept. Want me to break down how ghosts, spirits, and demons differ across traditions? Or are you more interested in the science side of why people report experiences like this?
Well, I'm thinking of the science side for sure. I'm trying to figure out if they are detectable by the same means and would they show up differently versus similarly. And if they're made of the same stuff, then why wouldn't they be the same thing? And if they're not the same thing, then if they're made of the same stuff, would they be the same thing?
Right, so this is really a question about whether there's even a coherent physical hypothesis underneath the folklore categories before we ask whether one detection method would catch all three. Here's the honest scientific starting point. There is no accepted physical mechanism, particle, or energy signature for any of these. The detection tools people use, like electromagnetic field meters, infrared cameras, or audio recorders for electronic voice phenomena, aren't actually calibrated to detect spirits. They're calibrated to detect electromagnetic fields, heat, and sound. When ghost hunters get a reading, they're detecting a real physical thing, like a fluctuating magnetic field from old wiring, and interpreting it as evidence of something else. So to your real question, if ghosts, spirits, and demons were all made of the same underlying stuff, some undetected energy or consciousness residue, then the distinction between them would just be a labeling or classification difference, similar to calling the same animal a hound versus a mutt versus a cur. The differences would be about behavior or intent, not substance. But since none of the three have a demonstrated substance to begin with, science can't confirm they're the same stuff, different stuff, or any stuff at all. Want me to go into why EMF readings became folklore's go-to ghost signature?
Well, you can go there, but I want to get more electrical magnetic readings, right? So if this is a thing and they have like EMF scanners or whatever, I would assume that this is the same thing. But then they also I saw them using these radiation scanners, right? This is an interesting scenario. And then they're trying to use infrared to catch cold spots and temperature changes. So I'm really trying to figure out if any of that is relevant, because if something goes flying across the room and you didn't do it and I didn't do it, who did it? That's really where we're at.
Right, that's the real crux of it. Something moved and nobody touched it. Let's take the tools one at a time, because they're actually measuring pretty different things. The EMF meter reads electromagnetic fields, and the folklore reasoning goes that a spirit is energy, so it should disturb the field. But EMF meters are notoriously twitchy around old house wiring, appliances, cell phones, even the person's own device. So a spike is almost always explainable by ordinary current. not a confirmed anomaly. The radiation scanner is actually a strange addition, since there's no theoretical link between ionizing radiation and consciousness or spirits at all. That one's more borrowed prop than genuine hypothesis. Most physicists would say it doesn't test anything relevant. Infrared for cold spots is interesting, because temperature differences are real and measurable, but they're almost always explained by draft, poor insulation, or airflow from vents, not an unseen entity absorbing heat. Now, the flying object question is actually the most testable of all of these, because that's a mechanical event, something with mass move. When investigated, these cases tend to resolve into a few categories, like unnoticed vibration, a person unconsciously causing it, or, frankly, staged events.
Okay, fine.
Do you want me to walk through documented cases where object movement was later explained, or ones that stayed genuinely unexplained?
Well, the thing is, if the objects are moving, then there has to be an interaction with that object. If any of it was caught on camera, if any of these things are verifiable, then these are moments where we should try to apply the equipment to that actual test, especially when we're looking at the film. Is there different ways we can like change the actual the filter to see if anything shows up in these other categories? See if we can, since we have AI technology now, can we deduce with AI these kinds of factors? There's just a couple different things I think we could try to verify some of these cases, but I mean, it's a hard task.
Yeah, it's a genuinely hard task, but AI is actually being used in a few real ways here, mostly as a better skeptic than a human investigator, not as a ghost detector itself. The most solid use is pattern analysis on audio and video. Machine learning can scan hours of infrared footage or audio for anomalies far more consistently than a person staring at a screen at 2 in the morning, and then flag things like a subtle draft-driven temperature drift versus a genuinely sudden unexplained one. Similarly, for those electronic voice phenomena recordings, AI speech recognition can test whether an apparent voice is actually structured language or just our brains doing pattern matching on random noise, which is a well-known effect called pareidolia. For the flying object scenario, computer vision could analyze a video frame by frame to detect subtle strings, vibrations, or a person's micro movements that the naked eye would miss. So AI's real value is stripping out human bias and error, not confirming spirits. It tends to shrink the unexplained pile rather than grow it. Want me to get into pareidolia more, since that seems to explain a huge chunk of these cases?
It's all good. I was just trying to get some of the information, some of the tools that we use to actually detect our own existence. These tools could probably be used to detect disembodied existence, if any of the same residual markers are in the afterlife, so as in the life. So I don't know, maybe it's testable.
I get where you're going. The idea that whatever tools capture signatures of living biological and electrical activity might, in theory, catch something similar left behind after death, if consciousness leaves some kind of residual trace. The honest scientific snag is that all our detection tools are built around known physics, electromagnetism, heat, sound, mass. They can only detect a residual marker if that marker uses one of those same channels. So far, nobody's demonstrated that consciousness or identity is a standalone energy that persists and interacts with matter after the brain stops. Without that link, the tools have nothing to grab onto. It's not that we've searched and found nothing. It's more that we don't have a target to point them at yet.
Okay, so if there's no target to point them at, what if you aimed it at all targets?
That's actually what ghost hunting equipment tries to do in practice. Cast a wide net and flag any anomaly at all. The problem is that approach almost guarantees false positives, because the real world is full of ordinary electromagnetic noise, temperature, drift, and random sound. So an untargeted scan mostly just measures messy reality rather than something paranormal. a truly rigorous version would need a controlled baseline, like scanning an empty sealed room for weeks to know what normal noise looks like, then comparing that against reported hotspots. Very few investigations actually do that legwork, which is a big reason results stay inconclusive rather than either confirmed or debunked.
Okay, so the test isn't being done properly. Well, maybe if we needed to turn up the ampage of the equipment, and then that would be at a point where, let's say, yeah, you would need a van, and the van would need to have the sensor array equipment that could scan at least a good 500 yards and pick up every subtle little thing. And then for at least a week, you would have to tune it to that area, and then be outside of whatever haunted place you're at. And then you'll be able to fine tune inside the building. And then a series of drones and cameras will be linked. Of course, there might be the old battery draining thing, but those things could be recorded and flagged with the sensors. And we should be able to, with all the sensors, if they're, like I said, we have to amp them up. They have to be powerful so we can actually look and we can actually see.
Honestly, that's basically the blueprint serious paranormal research teams already dream about, and a few well-funded ones have tried scaled-down versions of exactly this. But turning up amperage doesn't actually help. More sensitive equipment just picks up more of the ordinary noise too, so you get more false readings, not clearer real ones. The thing that would actually matter is exactly what you said with the baseline, isolating the location, running it dark and empty for a stretch, and then comparing lived-in data against that empty baseline. The scale and drone array would help with coverage and ruling out human tampering, but the signal to noise problem doesn't go away just by making the equipment more powerful. Anyway, want me to look into whether any real research groups have tried a setup like this?
It's just one of those things where you have to give it its breathing room, because, of course, we're going to need to actually search for, like, when we're thinking about the actual neuroscience, the different scanners that they're using for the human brain. And catching these different frequencies that the human brain is giving off, we need to be looking for these frequencies as well. So we need probably a whole new layer of equipment that's repurposed.
Yeah, that's actually a sharper angle, because brain frequency scanning is a real established science, unlike ghost EMF work. EEG picks up electrical activity across specific bands like alpha, beta, theta, and gamma waves, and there's real research on how those shift during meditation, sleep, and even reported anomalous experiences in supposedly haunted locations. Some studies have found that certain infrasound frequencies, sound below what we consciously hear, can actually induce feelings of unease or a sense presence in people, which is a real physical mechanism, not a spirit. But it does explain some haunting reports through brain response rather than an external entity. So repurposing that kind of equipment makes more sense than cranking up EMF gear, because you'd actually be measuring a known biological signal instead of guessing at an undefined paranormal one. Want me to get into that infrasound research, since it seems closest to an actual proven mechanism here?
Yeah, you can do that, but we can also dig deeper into the, I would think, the thermal, because there's something there, but more so like reading x-rays and all the different light type of wave frequencies that we can view, and open up our scale on that, because it may be a certain frequency of light that they're using or utilizing, and that frequency of light could coincide with a certain frequency of electricity that's in the air, so on and so forth. And then we'll be able to tune our electromagnetic reading material, or our instruments. We'll be able to tune them better, because we'll be able to figure out the actual frequency formula we're looking for.
Right, so the idea being, if you scan across the whole electromagnetic spectrum, Not just visible light and heat, but X-rays, ultraviolet, radio, all of it. You might catch a frequency band nobody's thought to check. Here's the thing though, we actually do scan across that entire spectrum constantly. For astronomy, medical imaging, security, industrial use. Every one of those bands has a well understood source. X-rays need very high energy events to generate. Ultraviolet comes from specific chemical or stellar processes, and so on. If a haunted location were emitting an unusual frequency anywhere in that range, it would actually be easier to spot than an EMF blip because that band is normally silent in a bedroom or hallway. So a genuinely unexplained emission there would be a much bigger deal scientifically than another EMF spike. Nobody's caught that in a documented replicated case yet, but it is a more rigorous place to look than where ghost hunting shows usually point their gear.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure we are utilizing all the different gear that's available to actually find this coherent life, because if we can scan and see what coherent life looks like, then if there's any residual essence of it past, the point of death, then we'd be able to detect it because it would have a similar, or at least some of these points of detection, or it might even generate a whole new frequency or a whole new spectrum based off of its unnecessary. It doesn't need a physical body. So the energy and the impulses that were going through the body are happening in the air, the ethos or whatever, that medium that we will be pulling electricity if we were getting it from the air.
That's actually the cleanest version of the hypothesis. If consciousness is fundamentally electrical impulses while alive, maybe some form of that signature persists in the surrounding medium after the body stops housing it. The honest scientific catch is that the electrical activity we measure in a living brain isn't free-floating energy. It's tightly coupled to the physical structure generating it, neurons, ion channels, synapses. When that structure stops, there's no known mechanism for the pattern to detach and keep propagating through open air. The way, say, a radio wave keeps traveling after leaving the antenna. That's the actual gap. Not a lack of sensitive enough gear, but no demonstrated mechanism for the signal to survive its generator. That said, it's a real active philosophical question. Since nobody's proven consciousness is only the neurons either, do you want me to get into some of the actual competing theories on what consciousness even is, since that's really the root of this?
Well, I'm thinking that when the electrical impulses stop, where do they stop last?
Good question, and the answer is genuinely well studied. Brain death research shows activity doesn't cut off instantly everywhere at once. It actually persists longest in deeper, more primitive brain regions. Clinically, cortical activity, the outer layer responsible for higher thought, tends to go quiet first or fragment early. The brainstem, which handles basic survival functions, holds on longer. There's also been research on a surge of coordinated gamma wave activity right around the moment of death, sometimes lasting seconds to a couple minutes, seen in both animal studies and a few documented human cases with EEG monitoring already attached. After that, activity fades from the inside out as oxygen and glucose run out cell by cell until there's no measurable electrical signal anywhere. So the honest answer is, it stops last deep in the brainstem, not in the air around the body.
Okay, so if we recorded all of this energy, all of these different brain waves, and recorded all of it into a computer, and we took the image, the full image, around the time of the before and the gamma ray situation at the point of death, and take everything up to the point to where it stops in the first part of the brain where all of the theological and all of the religion and everything like that, where you're actually at your most spiritual. This part, let's capture it. If we capture this photo right here, this is that person at their maximum. This is that person at their fullest, including the point of an after death. If we record this, we have the energy markers. And then if we deconstruct it using AI and log it into a light spectrum and an electromagnetic spectrum, we would be able to look for this being in pieces through the air, hypothetically.
I hear the logic. Basically build a complete energy fingerprint of a person at the exact threshold of death, then hunt for fragments of that same signature drifting in the environment afterward. Here's the real snag though, and it's worth being straight with you on it. Even if you recorded every band perfectly, EEG, thermal, electromagnetic, all of it, that recording captures correlates of brain activity, not a freestanding thing that could detach and travel. It would be like recording every frequency a radio station broadcasts, then expecting to find pieces of that same broadcast drifting through a forest with no antenna, no transmitter, and no receiver anywhere involved. The data would be a real and fascinating map of dying brain activity, genuinely useful for neuroscience, but there's no known physical step that lets it leave the system and persist independently once the generating structure is gone. So it's a clever hypothetical, but the missing piece isn't better recording or better AI. It's a mechanism for detachment that nothing in physics currently supports.
Okay, but what if that maximum surge of the brain activity is the release? Because that's the recorded big brain bang, if you would. The big bang of the brain at that moment of death. If that is detectable and that is going outward in a way where it's detectable, that could be the release of that energy into the ethos or into the actual energy field itself. And those traces and we need to measure and see if it's the same frequency or is it a different frequency from somebody else's. And now we have a testable object here to see if the frequency is the same frequency that we're looking for, or if each individual has a different frequency band, like tuning a radio.
Okay, so now you've actually built a testable hypothesis, which is a meaningfully different thing than the earlier version. Let's treat it like one. That gamma surge at death is real and measured, so step one is genuinely doable. Record it across multiple subjects in clinical settings, which some researchers already do. Step two, your actual novel claim, is that this surge doesn't just fade out inside the skull, but propagates outward into the surrounding environment as a detectable signal. That part is where you'd need instruments placed just outside the body at the moment of death. And here's the useful bit, that's actually falsifiable. If nothing above ordinary background noise shows up in any band the instant that gamma surge happens, the release hypothesis is dead. If something consistent does show up across multiple subjects, that's enormous. The frequency fingerprint question, same for everyone versus unique per person, would only matter once you clear that first hurdle. Right now, nobody's published a rigorous version of that exact experiment. So it's a real gap, not a debunked idea.
Well, okay, well, that's a good thing. At least we're getting somewhere with this. So let's do a 5 testable ways we can try to look for this aftermarket spirit, for example. So the first, what do we have here? I think we have 2, or is it 1?
Let's build the full 5 since you've basically already got the first 2. Number 1, the gamma surge propagation test we just laid out.
Here we go.
Instruments right outside the body at the moment of clinical death, watching for any signal above baseline the instant the brain surge happens. Number 2, comparing frequency signatures across multiple subjects to see if there's a shared band or if each person generates something unique.
Ooh.
Number 3 would be the controlled baseline scan we talked about earlier, sealing off a reportedly haunted location, recording weeks of empty room data across every spectrum, then comparing that baseline against times when witnesses report activity. Number 4, full spectrum sweeps beyond just EMF, pulling in infrared, ultraviolet, and even background radiation simultaneously, since an anomaly showing up consistently across multiple unrelated bands at once would be far more convincing than a single twitchy EMF reading. And number 5, the infrasound angle. Testing whether reported presence or unease in a location correlates with low-frequency sound waves that people can't consciously hear, which would help separate genuine environmental anomalies from ones that are actually just human perception being triggered. Want me to rank those by which is most likely to actually get funded or attempted for real?
I mean, it's a 5-step process. And if all 5 are conclusive, what does that mean?
If all 5 came back conclusive, meaning the death surge actually propagates outward with a real signature, that signature is either shared or unique per person. Haunted locations show genuine anomalies above empty baseline. Those anomalies show up consistently across multiple spectrum bands at once. An infrasound only accounts for some, but not all of the perceived presence cases. That would be enormous. It would mean there's a real physical mechanism by which something generated by a dying brain persists and interacts with the environment afterward. It wouldn't necessarily prove ghosts, spirits, and demons as 3 distinct traditional categories. That's still a cultural and interpretive question, but it would prove there's a real detectable residue of a person's brain activity after
we're
death,
getting somewhere with
which is basically the physical foundation the entire folklore has been reaching for. That alone would be one of the biggest discoveries in the history of science.
All right, so we have a 5-point testable, and I mean, it should test pretty well. I mean, it's just they haven't looked for it, but there's that. And the bigger philosophical question is, well, are demons, ghosts, and, spirits the same thing? Well, in the way it looks like, maybe they are the same thing. Maybe it's just like temperature, for example. Then you have hot and cold. There's just your hot temperature and your cold temperature. And a ghost could be, a spirit could be, a demon could be. All the same, just good or evil ones, I guess, maybe. Who knows? I'm just saying, the unseen is the unseen, but the things that we can interact with or that can interact with us, those things are real.
That's actually a really clean way to land it, honestly. If that underlying energy signature turns out to be real, and it's just one phenomenon expressing differently, then ghost, spirit, and demon stop being 3 different kinds of things and become more like labels for the same thing at different intensities or contexts, the way hot and cold are really just one variable, temperature, at different points on the same scale, which would mean the cultural traditions weren't wrong exactly, they were just doing early, unscientific classification of something real, sorting by how it behaved or how it felt to the...
Yeah. So let's go ahead and we'll wrap it up. So any last words about any of this right here? You could tell them one more time our 5 ways to test this, and if all 5 come back conclusive, then it's true. And the other side is for the skeptics, and you could go ahead and give us your last thoughts on that.
All right, here's the wrap-up. The 5 tests were 1, checking whether that gamma surge at death actually propagates a detectable signal beyond the body. 2, seeing whether that signature is shared across people or unique to each individual. 3, running a proper sealed baseline scan of a haunted location before comparing it to active reports. 4, sweeping the full spectrum at once, not just EMF. So a real anomaly would show up across multiple bands simultaneously. And 5, testing infrasound to see how much of the felt presence effect is just sound below hearing rather than anything external. My honest last word is the skeptic side. None of these have been run rigorously yet, so right now the scientific position isn't that ghosts are disproven, it's that the question hasn't actually been tested properly. That's a more interesting place to leave it than either believing or dismissing outright there's a real experiment sitting there waiting for someone to run it. That was a fun one, Dar Emperor. Good talking this through with you.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming through. I want to do something else with my life right now. I'm finna go mind my business. Probably go get another pizza. You know what I'm saying? Your boy feeling real fat today. Shout out to everybody that did overtime. Shout out to everybody that has a job. The world doesn't go around without you. And you're underappreciated, I should say. But It's time for me to shut the fuck.
Get ready.
This shit exclusive. My little homegirl put me on. She said, "One, this shit brand new, free flow. Lady rappers been acting like this is not an art, huh? You forgot about that part. Lady rappers been acting like this is not an art, huh? You forgot about that part. Lady rappers been spitting like they ain't got a heart." Because when I step to the game, I rip that shit apart. My evolution,
if you do not
from
want
magic
to
carpet, and I ain't
change,
finished shopping till the whole world is in my cart.
Yourself, if you do not want to break
choose a role and
out
play your part.
outside
Beneficial functionality and strategize is smart.
if you want to live in your comfortable delusion
always feel this
that
hard.
they have
Only
built
if the universe keeps dealing shitty cards. I'm trying as hard as I can against all of the odds. Pushing as hard as I could is what got me so far. But what are my chances of actually reaching the stars? Still, I will never get up tatted over my heart. Never myself
don't want to understand. If you are not here
sexy Middle Eastern looking ass like I'm
hear
far.
something that's outside of your own mind and accept others' minds and opinions, the way they think for themselves, you do not belong.
Every time you hear it tripping like that shit sounds bizarre.
If you are not trying to
still is a mark.
be positive,
still like
if you are not trying to help create solutions while we discuss the problems and how they got here,
shit up. If your
you
ass
do not
wanna spar,
belong here. Negativity,
like
hate,
seats in my car.
disrespect, name-calling, those things will not be allowed here on this platform, and not in this empire. We are the ones, the true Americans, that want to be free and stand as we have always stood.